basically I've got two people in front of me. I just picture myself as like a goat herder in Greece 2,000 years ago. I just see this stuff, and I've got two people in front of me. One that's got an argument for flat Earth, and the other that argues for the globe Earth. And I know that in your argumentation, you like to present the globe Earth side as presenting a model. Therefore, it's making a positive claim. Therefore, it has the burden of proof. But to me, these claims are equally burdened. I mean, they're both claiming to be able to explain what I'm seeing. Just because one side claims to be able to provide a model and the other side doesn't mean that that second person has no obligation to explain anything. I'm looking for an explanation for these things.
Okay, no obligation to explain anything. No one said that. He said equally burdened. Okay, that is incorrect, right? Again, the default position based on experience and empirical evidence and via application of Occam's razor is that the Earth is a stationary topographical plane, right? That is contained, and that the stars move around the Earth in a central position, as does everything that we observe in the sky. The sun and the moon move in the sky, that they're the same size. One lights for the daytime, one lights for the nighttime. This is the default empirical position. That's why the horizon is horizontal. We know that water at rest is flat. That's the way it is in all reality, right? And it's important to really soak that in. It's not that that is definitively true. It's that that's the default empirical position. Therefore, if there is another claim that's brought in, which it has to be brought in, the other one doesn't. It's just there. It's just factually the default position. Another person comes in and claims, actually, all of that is backwards. Sure, it all appears to be that way, but actually, the opposite is true in every one of those scenarios. That's all an illusion. That has the burden of proof. It's making a positive claim, contrary to, antithetical to, the default empirical position. It has the burden of proof. This is a fact. So whenever I make this point, I make this point because it's just logic. It's not, has nothing to do with the bias. No, it just was a fundamental reason that we all got here, is we understood this logic. This is very, very important to understand. Because what happens is, since consensus is that the Earth's a tilted, wobbling, spinning globe flying through space, then the flat earthers must answer every question about how everything in the universe works. If they can't, ha ha ha, it's over. The Earth can't be flat, and we have a model. And collectivizing this idea of how you're a group that has a model. For one, Earth models don't exist. There's no such thing as a globe Earth model. That doesn't actually exist. We use that phrase colloquially, right? Because when we say model, it's this mainstream belief that has many different claims, and they're typically agreed upon claims for the most part within that. But there isn't an actual functional globe Earth model. We have models for different phenomena. We have a geodynamo model. That's the model of the core and how the core works. That then leads into the geomagnetic model, which is how the magnetic field of the Earth supposedly works. These are just different models. If I took a frisbee and then moved my finger around or a compass around a magnet in the middle, that would be a circumnavigation flat Earth model. We modeled out circumnavigation. Okay, so there are different models for different phenomena, right? In the globe Earth, they don't even agree on most of them. A lot of them don't work, whatever. But everyone's been working together for all of modern history to try to make this idea work and have some type of functionality. And so, of course, you have some speculative, disagreed upon, theoretical explanations for it. That's what everyone's been working on. The people think, well, since that's the case, whoever comes in and challenges it must replace it. And that is just, it's fundamentally not true. This has got to be one of the most important parts of all of this. If you're looking for truth, you must reset what any belief in this scenario is the enemy of knowing the truth, because this is something that is empirically testable, empirically founded, and proven and established. So we're going to wipe the slate clean. We're going to look at empirical evidence to see, can we substantiate a physical claim, a material claim, an empirical claim. Okay. I know that seems really basic, but for some reason people just can't accept that, because if you actually are honest, and like intellectually honest, and apply actual logic, then the whole conversation is different. And we can't just skate past this part. If you have friends or someone and you're like, I don't understand why they can't see where I'm coming from, this is why. because the truthers that have accepted that the realm we live in is different than we thought, they accept this fact. They don't fight it. They don't lie to themselves. They don't shut their brain off and look away and ignore this fact. They don't start saying, no, you have the burden of proof, or they're equally burdened. No, they're not. Like, sure, if you say the positive claim, the earth is flat, which they don't mean literally flat, of course, when we say that, then yeah, you have the burden of proof to establish and verify that it's flat, because that's a positive claim. It's a general description of a surface, it's flat. You say the earth's a plane, the topographical plane, yes, that's a positive claim. It has the burden of proof, right? If you say the earth is stationary, yes, positive claim, burden of proof. We just covered, though, that the empirical evidence on its face shows us that. It presents us a stationary plane earth, factually, right? Because, again, the globe model says, well, it's just so big, it's going to look flat, and it's just so big, it's going to feel like it's stationary. And time slows down while we fly through space, and all of matter is contracting, but you just can't tell it's getting smaller. So when you try to measure the earth moving through space, or you try to time the earth moving through space, you won't be able to do it. It'll create the illusion that the earth is not moving. That is the other claim. It's important to understand this. That's why I'm harping on it. I know I had to do two parts because I really want to explain this to people that are new. If you're not going to look at it through this lens, which is the honest approach, you're never going to get to the truth of this matter. And you should wonder why. Why? Why can't you? If the globe earth is truth, truth doesn't fear investigation. Meaning, like, yeah, sure, you're right. The default position is that the horizon's horizontal, that water is level, that we're stationary, that we're not moving, that the stuff in the sky moves. We see the stars move. We see the sun and the moon move. We see that they're the same size. This is what we observe every day. I mean, we can get into the intricacies of line of sight, microwave and radio wave transmissions, long distance observations of things being equal to your level, like level with you at immense distances. We talk about long distance observations all the time, certainly in infrared, long distance laser tests, all engineering. When we build anything in the real world, like bridges, railways, runways, etc., it's all understanding that the earth is a plane and that it's flat. The globe position, and when we fly a plane, we fly it over the earth as if the earth is flat objectively. We go up and down in different pressure zones, if you, in layman terms, with parallel horizontal layers assumed and utilized. The globe earth quote unquote model has the claim that that's an illusion. Now, I know that was a long time for me to really explain this very basic, rudimentary, and elementary aspect of it, but dude, like, if we don't accept this part and if we don't have a meeting of the minds to be like, what Austin's saying is logical, it is fair, it is the proper way to go about it, we're now going in two totally different directions. And one direction is saying, I'm open to whatever the evidence is. Let's see what the truth is. Truth doesn't fear investigation. We have evidence to establish this empirical position. There's a claim that that's all actually the opposite of what's going on. Let's see if we can find evidence. I think it's also important. Let's explain Occam's razor right here, right? So I usually say it this way because I try to keep it really simple, but that which requires the least amount of assumptions is probably correct, or is the position that you should typically go with. And there's this caveat that's assuming that there are two explanations that are both viable, right? That are viable explanations. They can adequately provide explanation for whatever the question is, whatever the phenomena is. But you have one that's super complex and requires all kinds of assumptions, and you have one that is equally viable, right? So this is Occam's razor applies in a scenario where there are equally viable explanations, which is very rare, to be honest, but obviously that which requires least amount of assumptions and is the most simple is more likely to be true if they both have equally valid. It's not that it automatically is true, it's just that it's more likely to be true in that scenario. And it's important to understand that when you go into any logical discussion, it should be your first step.